SMR Sports back in your business. Well, folks, today is Tuesday, June 18th when I'm recording here. I'll probably post this tomorrow. I had actually planned something a little different. I was going to do this Bowman Mega Box, but I'm going to save that for probably the next day's video. I was watching the Yankees broadcast, Yankees-Orioles, first game of their series in Yankee Stadium, and they announced that Willie Mays had passed away at age 93. So I thought I would do a little tribute to Willie Mays and his baseball cards. Don't ask me why I'm doing this, but I was actually just reading an article about Willie Mays letting people know that he was not going to make the baseball game that's being played at this old stadium. It's the oldest, professional baseball field in the, that's still operating in the United States. I can't remember what it's called. I feel like it starts with an R. But it's where this famed Negro League team played many, many years ago, and Willie Mays played on that team before he made it to the major leagues. And, the hope had been that Willie Mays could be there. But he had said that, he wasn't going to be able to travel to be there, and presumably he was, on a path of health decline that ended in his passing today. So, anyways, it's a sad thing to lose such a huge, massive legend of the baseball world like Willie Mays. So, I said to myself, what kind of Willie Mays cards and memorabilia do you have? And the answer is not a ton. I mean, this is about it. I guess I may have some ungraded vintage cards of him somewhere. But most of my collection is of him. He's in graded form, so let's take a look and see what we got here. I'm not really sure what the value of a lot of these is, because it's been a while since I've looked them up, and if I get super curious, I might look them up here in this video, but I am not sure. This card, which has a little crack in the case, is a 1961 Topps batting leaders card, so it has top 4 National League batting leaders. I think that guy's name is Bill Grote. I don't even know him. Larker, Willie Mays, and Roberto Clemente. Kind of funny that these two no-namers were ahead of those guys, but it's batting average. Weird things can happen. So this is graded 6.5 by Beckett Vintage Grading. Not a label you see a lot, because honestly, who even uses Beckett Grading anymore? And even more so for vintage. Vintage collectors just do not grade anything. I don't know if BVG even exists anymore, or whether, I guess that's just the label they put on, their Beckett Grading Services cards that are before a certain year, probably like 80 or something. In any event, X Mint Plus is the grade on this. And then on the back we have National League batting champions 1900 through 1960. Wow. You see Mays on there in 1954. Looks like the only one he had up to that point. Mays had a very long career. You know, he was Rookie of the Year in 1951, which I believe would have been the year that Mickey Mantle was also a rookie. So stiff competition there, but he was the NL Rookie of the Year. And I have to look that up now. I'm really curious, because maybe Mantle did win it in 1951. I don't know if I've ever heard that, but. I'm gonna pull up a screen here. It was Gil McDonald. Who did he play for? Yeah, he was a Yankee. That's what I thought. So it's Gil McDonald. Sorry, McDougald. Gil McDougald in the AL. And Willie Mays in the NL. Now, who were the MVPs in the AL and the NL in 1951? Think about it. Okay. In the AL it was Yogi Berra. In the NL it was Roy Campanella. So what's funny about these awards, the Rookie of the Year and the MVP, are that every single winner is from a New York team. We've got Yogi Berra on the Yankees, Roy Campanella, NL MVP for the Brooklyn Dodgers. We've got Gil McDougald, AL Rookie of the Year for the Yankees, and Willie Mays was on, at the time, 1951, the New York Giants. So very New York-centric awards that year. Well, there you have it. There's card number one. So I've sorted these, I think, in roughly ascending order of value. So that's, I think, maybe the least valuable one, although that's relatively high grade. 6.5 is actually pretty high grade. So who knows, that might be worth more than this next one, which is 1972 Topps Willie Mays. I did this, I think, on the last order I did with PSA involving vintage cards. I just kind of gathered up like pretty much every, star vintage card of like Mays, Mantle, whatever, because I think it was like $15 a card, which is pretty cheap. And sent them all in, and this was one of the cards from that batch. 72 Topps. So I think his last card, I think he had a 1975 Topps card. And that was his last, which is insane because if he started in 51 and he played all the way through, I think, 74. I don't think he played in 75, but he had a card. That is a long career. So the $35 sticker I put on here back when I was doing the reveal of the grading batch that this card was in, and I was looking up the price of everything. And so that was probably, gosh, I don't know when, you guys remember when that was? There was like some like basketball cards. There was like a Jordan sticker rookie in there, and a Olu Alcindor, also known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 69 Topps rookie in there that were cards that belonged to a friend of mine who actually is a huge Celtics fan. He was at Game 5 in Boston, so I get to see his favorite basketball team, longtime favorite basketball team, win a championship, which I gotta say is pretty amazing. I hope someday I can say that of one of my favorite teams, which I guess at this point would be the Yankees and the Mavericks. I don't really follow anybody too closely in football, but who knows? So okay, now I'm kind of curious to see. Well, all right, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna look that up. I suspect probably roughly around this value. You may not actually see a lot of comps at VG3 grade level, just because it's not super common, I don't think. Alright, next up we have a 1967 Topps. I think this went in quite a while before I graded that 72 Topps. If you look at the serial number on this one, it's like 60 million. This one is 73 million, so this one's quite a bit later. But yeah, a long time ago I submitted some vintage cards, and they were generally cards that are a little bit better grade than the batch that went most recently. Those were kind of the digging in the bottom of the barrel. So these ones from this batch are, and there's quite a few actually in this collection that I'm going to show you. They tend to be a higher grade. So this one is a PSA 5. Looks actually pretty dang sharp. Just a bit off center, and kind of pretty standard corner rounding for vintage cards that were not super well cared for, but nothing too crazy. No creases or major damage on the corners. So pretty solid card all around. Just a solid look at that. 52 home runs in 1965. That was a ton of home runs back then, folks. People did not hit over 50 home runs all that much. Basically in the era between like Roger Maris and I want to say like Cecil Fielder had over like 50. He was like threatening to get to that 60 point. Like he had like 58 home runs or something by the end of that season, where he blew up, which was like I don't know what that was, 1989 or 1990, something like that. But yeah, 50 home runs was like a big deal. And even today, frankly, 50 home runs is a pretty dang big deal. Notwithstanding the steroid era and the numbers that Bonds and Sosa and McGuire put up for their stretch of time in the bigs. Alright, so cool card, and kind of one of the later 60s cards. Now we're going to go back into the early 60s and then the 50s. Here we have a 64 Topps. This one's, was that last one a 5? Yeah. Also a 5, so we got a couple 5s here in a row. Kind of cool. 1964 Topps is one of my favorite designs. I attribute that primarily to the fact that when I was a kid, a good friend of mine who, was also a card collector and who I traded with often, had a binder of cards that I always looked through, to find things to trade for. And he had a few older cards I think he got from his dad. And one of them was a 64 Topps, and I thought, man, that's so cool to have a card that's that old. I didn't have any cards that were that old. It was a 64 Topps Lou Brock, I remember, and he was a big Cubs fan, so Lou Brock was with the Cubs back then, not the Cardinals, who he later played for. So anyways, ever since then, I don't know, I just thought the 64 Topps was such a cool design, that bold. It kind of reminds me, this bold team name at the top of 86 Topps, but like white border instead of a black border, primarily for the 86 Topps. But I still to this day, I think it's just such a beautiful design. It's very simple and I don't know, classic to me. So I think it's a really cool looking card. So this is San Francisco. I can't remember when this the Giants moved to San Francisco from New York, but I want to say it's like the mid 50s or something like that. So you may find out, but I'm just looking through these cards to see what years So I have a 58, which is in San Francisco, and then the next one is a 52, which is in New York. So somewhere between 52 and 58. My guess would be like maybe 55. They moved, but you Giants fans will have to tell me. Anyways, this card's really cool. It's really nicely centered. It's kind of the same story as that 67, but the 67 is much less well centered. So it's got no major creases. The corners are maybe a touch worse on this than on that one, but they're not anything obscene. So just a real clean card with very nice centering. I will say that's actually impeccable centering, which is highly valued by collectors these days. So I like that card a lot. That's a beautiful one. This next one, 1960 Topps. I have a sticker on here that is way old. I think I had that on there from a card show that I was selling at back in like 2017 or something like that. No, 2019, early 2019, something like that. So yeah, the market's gone up on vintage since then. So I suspect this one is probably worth significantly more than $80. Probably a few hundred, maybe $300 or something. Would be my guess. This is an EX5. And this card's pretty dang sharp. I mean, the corners are outstanding. Almost looks like it's like sort of packed fresh, except it's off-center. And may have a little bit of surface issues there. Oh, I actually see like a little crease here. Yeah, you can see the crease more. Yeah, there it is. Right, it goes right there. So I'm actually kind of surprised this got a 5 with the crease like that. Like, because these don't have any creases in their 5s, so I don't know. But 60 Topps, it's pretty. The older you get in the 60s, the harder it is to get decent condition cards, and this one's as old as it gets in the 60s, so pretty sweet looking. I'd be much happier if it was a little more centered, but the main problem with this card is just that crease, I think, and everything else is pretty dang nice. Edges are nice, corners are really nice. So it's and the centering and the crease there are the main things taken away grading points from this guy. Alright, 59 Topps. PSA 4. So, as you get into the 50s, if you get it like a PSA 5, you're in some real money and beyond. So I don't really have anything 5 or higher, I think, from the 50s on Willie, but once again, this is pretty nicely centered, a little bit off left to right. And, yeah, what can you say? He's got the classic headshot there. Back looks pretty nice. Served in the military in 1953. Yeah, what can you say? Nice bold yellow. Alright, next up, we have a 1958 Topps. This one's pretty beat up. It's a VG3 SGC 40. So it's what, VG would be a PSA 3. It's pretty beat up, pretty off-center, lots of, like, kind of rough little, I don't know what you call those, little scratches, little scuffing on the front. And the corners are pretty rounded too, so, it's a beat-up card. It's a well-loved card, but got that pretty nice bold blue background, which I like. Yeah, what can you say? Let's see what the back has to say here. Willie was runner-up for batting championship last season and led the league in triples and stolen bases. He's also tops in DPs for outfielders. Alright, am I dumb? What does that mean? Double plays, like, I guess he caught the ball and then doubled up a guy, straying from a base. Could that be? Is there another definition of DP that I'm not aware was the NL Most Valuable Player in 1954. So Rookie of the Year in 1951 to MVP in 1954. That's pretty amazing. Alright, now we're getting into some early 50s. And try to kind of move these off so you can't see the one next. Whoa. Alright. This one's pretty sweet. It's, the highest grade 50s card of Mays that I have. It's a 1952 Bowman. It's a bit off center, but overall quite clean and sharp, relatively sharp corners and edges. So, I don't know, it presents very well. I think it's a second year card for him. His rookie was in 1951 Bowman. And I think I only paid like maybe $600 for this. I have to believe it's worth, some multiple of that at this point, maybe, $2,500 or something. It's from the High Number series, and yeah, it's an amazing card. Looks like 9/23, but I don't know what year. Well, I don't. Does that mean September 23? I think. Okay, yeah, it must be. So, well, I don't know what I meant, but at some point it was worth $2,100, and if it was in 2023, it might be worth a touch more at this point, but I'm not really sure. Okay, last kind of regular card, and then I have something that's a little bit different to show you for the last item. But the last, baseball card item is this beautiful 1952 Top Willie Mays. Actually, it's not that beautiful condition-wise. It's a lowly 1.5, but I think, I'm pretty sure Willie Mays, no, maybe he was not. So this, I think, would have been from the, first series of cards. I'm actually not positive about that. I feel like it might be high series. I can't remember how big the sets were in this era, but in any event, this card is pretty iconic, actually. I feel like you see this card a lot on, like, sports card magazines or, like price guide books, as sort of a representative, card from that era. And consequently, a lot of people are familiar with this card and its appearance, even if they've never, had one in their collection. So it's sort of similar to like a 52. I would say all of the big three in this set are sort of iconic in that way. The 52 Tops, the 52 Tops Mantle, the 52 Tops Jackie Robinson, and then this Willie Mays. Actually, I'd love to have all three of those cards, but this is the only one of those three that I own, and I just happened to pick this up, I think, in a lot of cards that I bought, I don't know, a million years ago, and, even at that time, I knew it was iconic, and I thought, you know what, it would be sweet to have that card. I can't really, convince myself to buy a mantle. It's funny, I could have bought, like, many mantles for the amount of money I've spent on, like, unopened cards from the last, 5-6 years. So, in the end, I certainly could have picked up that mantle, and probably should. Actually, I definitely should have, because those are appreciated. Those have appreciated significantly in value since in the last 5 years. But anyways, I have Willie Mays, and I'm glad I do. It's a beautiful card. These really shot up in value, maybe like a year and a half or so ago. Back when a lot of vintage stuff was really skyrocketing, so I know back then it was worth quite a bit. Yeah, I don't know what this 923, why does it say 7,200, which I don't think this is really worth. But then value, okay, I think maybe I updated the value at some point. September of 2023, perhaps. And that was a different time that I priced this out than whatever time I did this top price. I think that's what that means. bet I did like a top, whatever 20 most valuable cards in my collection thing around 923. And I had to look up, all my better cards at that point, but this was from maybe an earlier version of the top 20 most valuable cards in my collection. But I paid $500 for this, so it was a really nice investment. Yeah, what can I tell you? I don't know what this thing is worth now. If it really was worth $7,223, I feel like it's probably down since then a little bit. That seems like high, but maybe I'm high, who knows. Alright, last card. This one's kind of wonky, but it's cool because it's autographed, and this is a photo that must have been, sometime, and this card probably was from sometime before the Giants went to San Francisco, because you see the NY on his hat there. So a lot of times, so this is, I think, called an exhibit card, and they used to, I don't know how they distributed these, probably, at games, or, maybe stores gave them out as promotions or something like that, but these are sort of, well known in the vintage collecting world, and usually what they'll say, if you get this like graded, not for the autograph, but just as a card, they'll have a range. It's kind of like T206 cards. It's like 1909 to 1911 is what they say is the year for those cards. Well, the years for these exhibits generally is like 1947 to 1950 something. So they are from, actually they might say like 1947 to like 1960, so they made them over a pretty, wide range of time, but this one presumably had to have been made sometime before, the mid-50s, when the Giants were in New York, based on the photo. So I would say this is probably from the 50s. Now, it's got an autograph on it. When was it autographed? Probably much later than that, I would imagine, but this card does look quite old. The back doesn't tell you anything because it's just blank. But I don't know, this is a pretty cool piece. I got this from my one of those repack products that I think was like, the theme was Hall of Fame autographs, and I got like a Brooks Robinson autograph, I got a Jim Palmer autograph, I got a bunch of other, pretty solid, but not like super elite Hall of Fame autographs. But this card was definitely the best pull out of that product of what I opened anyways. And yeah, it's just been sitting around since then. That was probably, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, something like that, that I got it. And yeah, it's just kind of been sitting around. It's kind of an odd fit because it's a big, it's a big card, and it's not a, it's not a regular card. It's a exhibit. So, never been sure what to do with it, but I'm excited to have one autograph of the Say Hey Kid in my collection, and it's this one card. I think he was fairly prolific in autographing, so I don't think his autographs are like super hard to come by. I think he might have even, gotten quite a few autographs in, modern baseball card products. So I haven't looked recently, but I would guess maybe in the 90s, or early 2000s, he was signing stuff, really signing stickers that went on cards. So I don't think his autographs are super duper rare, but I don't know, they're pretty cool, I think. I mean, as cool as having like a Mantle auto. If you're a non-Yankee fan anyways, for me it might be a little cooler to have Mantle auto just because, he's a Yankee and I'm a Yankees guy. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed looking through my Willie Mays cards, and yeah, I'm sad that we've lost a legend, truly a legend of the game. Perhaps the greatest living baseball player at the time of his death. I can't imagine who, would be, not counting any of the sort of current major leaguers, but, any retired player who's living and who was a greater icon of the sport than Willie Mays. So it's quite a loss. And he lived quite a long time. 93 years is pretty dang good. So anyways, that's what we got for today, folks. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks so much.